Okay, hey everybody. Looks like it's my turn. Tiff said I'd probably be posting a video. I think she would have rather had it a little sooner than I provided, but I lose control. I forget what I'm doing. So you saw everything that she said about how we decided where we were going to move to. I think she touched base on why we were going to move. And she kind of talked about my feelings a little bit, or how I felt about it. Let's go with that. I think she kind of didn't want to speak on my behalf, which is totally cool. So about a year ago, be about a year ago now, Kylie was taken off to college, and I think Tiff had mentioned too, Sid's still in town here, but she does majority of the time with her mom, so we see her, I don't know, a couple times a month, maybe, if we're lucky. I'm sure all you guys remember being teenagers. The last thing you really wanted to do was be at home hanging out with your parents, even though we're pretty cool parents. But I totally get having a job and having a boyfriend, and well, I don't know about having a boyfriend myself, but having somebody else and trying to budget your time between that, your friends, and your school, and everything else, the last thing you think about is your parents. I love my parents dearly. I did not see them, I think, from 10th grade through my high school career. So yeah, Kylie went off to college. We just kind of looked at each other like, why the hell do we have this big ass house? Let's move to somewhere. And then initially it was, let's move to a townhouse within Rochester. Well, townhouses around here are ridiculously expensive, and that was before the COVID stuff. I mean, a decent townhouse, you're looking at the price of a regular size house that we already had. Obviously it's smaller and you got all the things taken care of, but it's really not worth in my opinion, really not worth what the cost was. So I wasn't sure if I really wanted to leave Rochester because we have a great group of friends here. Mostly, they're pretty much like family, and we actually have family here. We have the girls, so it was kind of a tough decision to make to move outside of Roch. And for me, I don't know, the girls were my main thing. Even though Tiff, she's always kind of wanted to live international and stuff like that. I'm not really all that adventurous. She's definitely made me more adventurous. But I also don't really care. I don't really put my heart and soul into where I live either. So then COVID hit, and I started work from home in the middle of November, around Thanksgiving. And you just sit there and you look outside. It's like negative whatever the hell it was, and you can't really go out there and do anything. You're stuck sitting in your house. You get done with work, you still can't go anywhere because it's freezing out. The best thing you can do is go outside and shovel some snow. Mind you, that was partially due to COVID. Everything was closed. But when it came down to it, I was just like, I'm sick of the cold. I mean, yeah, I could go snowboarding, but there's nowhere to snowboard around here that's worth it. My buddy lives in Tahoe, and I went out there, and it pretty much destroyed my vision of ever snowboarding on these small hills that we have here. So I had no real reason to want to stay in a cold climate. So we just went looking around. And like Tiff said, we had weekly meetings, figure out what kind of states we liked and what things we definitely needed and what we didn't need. And then when we were trying to look in the South Carolina area, one of us brought up, probably Tiffany, what about Central America? I mean, we had been down there with the girls. We went to Costa Rica. It was beautiful and it was fun. My biggest fear for going down there was just it gets hot. It gets super hot. And you can adapt to anything, but my body's never really adapted to heat all that well. I think in my older age, it's going to adapt a lot more because now I freeze my ass off all the time. So when we narrowed it down to Panama, I was pretty excited, but also pretty nervous because I've never lived outside the country. I don't speak Spanish. I don't, want to go too far away from the girls, and yet I don't really see them. But there were a few things and everything that I had to be okay with myself, and luckily Tiffany was really cool about not trying to pressure me into make a decision, not trying to persuade me to, hey, let's just take off and leave everything that we know. She wanted to make sure that it was right for me, and that I came to the same conclusion. Because obviously she has family up here, so she'd be leaving her family the same as I'd be leaving mine. When I finally accepted that we could make this change, and if it ended up sucking, I can always come back home. Once I realized I can always come back home, I don't have whatever decision we make right now I'm not locked into. That's when this whole stuff started becoming a little more fun for me. I still had anxiety towards it, just because I work for a great company, and everyone seems cool with it, with us leaving the country. But we just got bought by a rather large company, and it's possible that whoever runs our division or whatever will have problems with it. But can always come home, so not too much to worry about there. I was actually even talking to our CEO about the move and stuff, and he seemed pretty excited about me doing it. So that makes me feel a lot better. The next thing that I had to get okay with was selling the house. The initial thought that we had is we would be in our house, and then we'd start taking trips to Panama, checking it out, and then once we knew that was where we wanted to live, then worry about selling the house and getting all our stuff in gear and moving down there. But after thinking about it quite a bit, we would have hated to get it all organized down there. We know we want to stay there, get back here, can't sell the house for whatever reason. I mean, everything's overpriced right now. We had a good deal on our house, but I don't think our house is even worth what we had gotten for it. So I don't feel bad about that. Not my problem. But I feel like a market could crash. So we decided to throw it in the market, get it sold, take some of the money and rent the place that we stay in now. We're in a townhouse for a couple months before we actually just pick up and go. And by pick up and go, it's kind of like Tiff said. I only plan on bringing a couple suitcases and my golf clubs and storing my truck somewhere in case we decide we hate it and don't want to live down there. Otherwise, in a couple months, if we decide we're going to do that, then I'll end up unloading my truck. So becoming okay with downsizing, like Tiff's video said, was awesome. Like she said, I don't do a lot of sentimental things, so I had no problem getting rid of pretty much everything. There are a few things that I kept for myself, and I'm sure if we move to Panama, it'll actually go down there. But yeah, I think I'm ready for the move. When I met Tiff, some of you guys might not know this, depends on who's watching the channel. I asked her out on a date, and she's like, yeah, that's cool, but just to let you know, I'm going backpacking through Europe by myself for 3 months in, I think it was July or something like that. So she's had this adventurous spirit since I've known her. I thought she was kind of crazy. I know one of my cousins definitely thought she was crazy, and he's a pretty big dude. So, I don't know. It was an interesting adventure for her. It actually helped us grow together, I think, a lot, because we were on the phone basically for 3 months every day. And when she came back, I was like, oh, you're kind of crazy. I've traveled. I've done cruises, and I've done trips to, I don't know, like most of the states and that kind of stuff. But I've never decided to just go pick up and put a backpack on and go through Europe by myself. The by myself part would be interesting enough. But she's pretty much an introvert, so she's used to being by herself. I'm obviously an extrovert, and I have too many voices in my head to deal with being by myself anyway. So we took a trip a long time ago to Peru. And that was my first trip of not having something that was like planned. And I'm kind of a planner, or at least I like something planned out. So that was quite the experience for me. And now that we're doing this Panama thing, I reflect on it a lot, because we do kind of have a little game plan with the Panama stuff. But a lot of it's just up in the air too. We know we're going to get down there. We know we have a place to stay. Then there's just a bunch of question marks. How are we going to drive? Where can we go? Cell phone service. I mean, we do so much research just trying to figure out, okay, our cell phones, we could take down our American numbers, but then it's 25 cents a minute for a call. So, okay, well, better get pretty well versed in this WhatsApp thing. So we're going to be switching over to WhatsApp, primarily for messaging and stuff back home, any kind of talking that we want to do. We will get a SIM card for down there, but obviously that's just for local calls. Everybody down there pretty much uses WhatsApp. I think that's actually, outside of the United States, that's a pretty commonly used app. So yeah, this is just all kind of, while we're planning stuff, it's a lot of fly by the seat of your pants work too. I've been asked before, like, how could you possibly like leave America, the best country ever, and go somewhere else? Well, America is pretty cool. I'm a true-blooded American, and I'll never denounce my American citizenship, but going to another country doesn't mean that you're selling out your own country, that there's something wrong with your country. We have beautiful parts all over our country. I just want to check out something new. As far as having the guts to go and do it, I think I attribute a lot of that to Tiff. She always wants to check out something new. I'm content, and if I'm working here in Minnesota or I'm working at somewhere beautiful, I really don't care. Either way, I'm inside working. It's the after work part that I get excited about now. Now in November or December, if I want to go outside and it's like -20, that sounds like a horrible idea. Go outside and it's 75, sounds like a great idea. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm gonna let this video go. I don't really have a lot to cover that Tiff already did, but I just figured I'd let you guys in on what I was thinking on this change or on this move and why I was interested in it. I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be exciting. I think it's gonna be stressful, and we'll have to get creative. But Tiff and I already know that we've made an agreement that if it becomes a problem with our relationship, we're out of there. I mean, we have a pretty strong relationship, but if someone's constantly like nervous or things are falling apart or just shit goes to hell, we always have a home base that we can come back to, even though we don't own anything here. We always got our friends and family. So friends and family, and maybe anybody else who might be watching this, you take care, and we'll have to get a couple more updates out there. I think I might start doing some with Tiff, but this pretty much is her channel to help everybody stay in the loop. So for now, take care. It was good to see you. Or I didn't see you, but you know what I mean. Later.